Welcome to the Made Together podcast, the engine behind modern game development, where studios expand, partnerships shape production, and global teams come together to make possible what no single studio can deliver. I'm Sam Carlisle, co-founder of XDS Spark. I'm joined by Carla Rylance, chair of the XDS Advisory Committee, head of programming at XDS, and head of business solutions at XDS Spark. Welcome, Carla.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I managed to combine heat with a stinking cold. And who the hell gets a stinking cold in 28 degrees? I blame part
Only
of it
Sam.
on lowering my immune system by staying up till 4:30 in the morning to watch the England game.
Oh
I
yeah,
think that
that
also didn't do
might
my
have
voice
done
any
it.
favors. Yeah, it didn't do my voice any favors. There was a lot of people staggering home at that time in the morning in our
I can
neighborhood, I have to say.
imagine. I bet it was so fun though.
It was very good. The mistake was to go there early to catch the Brazil game too, and
Mm.
then we got it delayed on, and what are you going to do? But it was a lot of fun, and it was a hell of a game. So I don't regret it, but I'm feeling sorry for myself right now.
Oh,
So I got Lemsip on the go.
Sam.
I'll be all right.
I guess
What
by
about
the
you?
time we launch this, we'll have been to develop.
Yeah, we will have. So we record these beforehand. So or we record these after, should I say, after the interviews. And so there's usually a time delay. So if we look to when we're actually recording these, yeah, we're pre-develop. And what now seems to be for the last couple of years, the tradition for pre-develop is the Xbox drops a colossal, great, big wave of redundancies right before develop hits.
Seems to be tradition, yes, unfortunately.
We all knew it was coming. I mean,
Hmm.
it'd been flagged. We knew it's a great reset and all the rest of it. But it's hit, and it has hit really, really hard. And LinkedIn feeds are just appalling to scroll down right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, it's
Um,
devastating. I think how many people is it going to be altogether by the end of the year? Like
it's over
3,200?
3,000, I think. Yeah, around 3,200, I think. But it's going to come in waves. So we've got this
Yeah.
first big wave here, and then there's going to be further redundancies throughout the year alongside the studios being let go. And when you look at it,
Mm.
actually the studios that have gone independent, that have since now left Xbox, that's been handled really well by Asher.
Mm.
That's been handled well by them. They've retained all their IP. They've been given some runway funding. They're not going to get off scot-free by any stretch of the imagination. There will be layoffs there, I'm sure, as well. But they've not been shut down. This is not London studio Sony. They have been given a shot at continuing on as successful, growing independent businesses, which they were before they were acquired.
Yeah,
So it's that they've handled very well, I think.
that's good.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
rest,
it
I'm not so.
must be hard for the people that don't yet know whether they're affected or not, and
And
having to just wait and see.
it's kind of everybody in the games industry as well. Nobody's
Yeah,
got a permanent job anymore. They've broken that contract. It's
yeah,
regardless. I mean, Xbox is worse because they basically said this ain't over. So don't get comfortable. This isn't over. I have no idea from a management perspective how on earth anybody is meant to make good product with that.
no,
I don't
no,
understand how you meant to be good at your job when you've got a sword of Damocles hanging over your head, and that sword stays there whether or not you do well or you do badly. It doesn't make any
yeah,
difference. The sword is
yeah.
still there.
I mean, people are going to be mourning the loss of their colleagues. People are going to be distracted because they're so anxious. People are going to be looking for other work whilst
Yep.
they're trying to get their job done at the same time. They're going to be putting in extra hours after work looking for stuff as well. Like they're going to be drained. They're going to be anxious. They're going to be like sad at everything that's happening, and it just doesn't equal great productivity.
No, it doesn't equal great creativity either. Like how you meant to bounce off each other and create those wonderful moments and that high quality work when you're so nervous and you're so out of sorts for it all, and it affects the whole membrane of a studio when these layoffs happen. There's a
Mhm.
kind of I actually I did an investigation of Crunch a few years ago, and there's a the thing
Mm.
about Crunch is that it overall is a bad thing. There's no kind of way of cutting it. There's not such a thing as good Crunch. There's Crunch that does less damage, and Crunch that does a huge amount of damage. But there is a part of Crunch whereby, even though it's a terrible thing, it can bring teams together. Oddly enough, right?
Mhm.
There are times when it can bring people together. This kind of restructuring and these kind of shifting patterns do nothing to bring people together whatsoever. I think they're more damaging in that regard. I think they do far worse. But I think it also, I know we've been looking for like what happens to the games industry, especially AAA, where me and you have, spent most of our life in AAA.
Mhm.
And I think of all the moves that have been done, this is the one that telegraphs what's going to happen in AAA. This is the first time when I've looked up and gone, all right, so this is what the future looks like. And I think, so bear with me for a moment here, because I am
Yes.
cotton headed, but let me try and think. So I had a conversation a couple of years ago with Abra Games, who put on the Brazil
Yeah, yeah.
Game Club. So, and they were talking about doing a panel, and part of the questions on the panel was, what is AAA? What
Mm.
qualifies as AAA, right? And I mean, there's a standard kind of qualifications, ones that you get in the marketing and in the market research that people do, and that tends to be an arbitrary number. It's like 50 million or 80 million, and everything above that is AAA. Everything below that is AA or triple I or whatever, right? But for me, AAA was always those were the games that push things forward. That's what made it
Mhm.
AAA. So you could have a lower budget AAA, but if it was a game that did something special, that pushed technology or pushed gameplay or pushed design or whatever it was, but they were on the very edge of what you could do because they pushed the system. They were system sellers. The big AAA games in certainly the first couple of console waves, these were the games that sold whole consoles. They were the ones that they had exclusivity because the games were so amazing and they pushed the bar so much. And these were the games that when you at the start of a console generation, you compare the ones you got at the beginning to the ones you got at the end. And the games at the end were almost unrecognizably better than the ones you got at the beginning.
Mhm.
Like because they just pushed it so far. They got these teams doing these incredible things with the technology in there. And that for me was AAA. That
Mhm.
they were the teams delivering these and advancing video games, advancing what video games were. And that's what made you so excited about what AAA was.
Mhm.
And the biggest drivers for those were the publishing houses. It was the first party. It was Sony. It was Xbox. It was Nintendo to a different degree and in a different way. They were more innovative on the hardware than they were on the software. Um, and then and the likes of EA and Ubi and the rest. They were all that. When I look at what's happening at Xbox right now, you look at who's been hit and how they've been hit. And I think now there is AAA, I don't think is the purview, particularly now, of the first party studios anymore. I don't think it's that. I think it's making a transition. It's at least got one foot in the independent sector as well.
Mhm.
Because I think what Ash has done at Xbox is they're shifting from being a AAA game maker to being to managing franchises. I think the
Mhm.
studios there are there to manage franchises. They are not there to push things forward. They are there to
So the big
create.
hits that they've got, like portfolio management kind of thing.
That's right, and going for that repeated revenue. Um,
Mm.
and I think the same could be said for Sony, and the same could be said for Ubisoft, and the same could be said for EA. I think when the Savvy Group comes in, you watch. My prediction is that you will see them just go for their live service revenue. I think
Mhm.
maybe all three of them might allow maybe a 20% of new IP or things around the edges, but it wouldn't surprise me if Intergalactic is Naughty Dog's last new IP for a long time. I'm sure they'll return back to established IP. I think at EA they will go back to they will lessen the investment or cut off everything that's not a live service because 70% of their revenue is live service.
Yeah.
70 billion out of 7 billion. So
Mm.
I think they'll cut back to the live service with maybe 20% of other titles in there. Ubisoft have been doing it with Assassin's Creed and the rest for goodness knows how long. They've been trying
Mm.
to get the most out of these long franchises. They haven't got very many left in there. But at Xbox, it's the most stark. I think Xbox is the one that shows a real picture because
I
they're
wonder
cut
what it
free.
means for like the acquisition market for these big publishers, like whether they'll hold on acquisitions or whether they will choose to acquire companies that only have like a big hit that's making millions, that has live DLC potential, that has a sequel that has also done well. I wonder if it will change that landscape at all. Probably, most
I think
likely.
it, I think it absolutely will. I think you're completely right. I think they'll only be in the hunt for franchises, nothing else.
Mhm.
Um, and if you are an independent developer with your own IP that isn't doesn't fall under that franchise kind of banner, and one of the major publishers approaches you, if they come knocking on your door, I would put garlic round the door. I would hold up on stakes, Buffy style. I would get a bucket of holy water. Not under any circumstances invite them in because they're not a trustworthy partner. You can no longer trust any of the large first parties as an acquisition partner anymore. That that has gone, and they've quite deliberately said this is a sacrifice we'll make because you can't leave the impression other than that. And I think
Mhm.
with Xbox, you'll see you see Halo hasn't been affected too badly, but Halo was gutted. The Halo team was
Mhm.
gutted a few years ago. They got hit
Mhm.
super hard. But Halo's a franchise.
Yeah.
Um, it went In Exile and Obsidian got hit, but they weren't cut loose, which
Mhm.
makes me wonder. Both of them have got like the credentials around Fallout, and I wonder if we will see them being co-development in the Ubisoft model studios for the larger franchise that will actually feed in and rebuild or contribute to larger existing franchises rather than continue down Avowed and some of the other IP that be making up. I hope they give them the chance to make those quirky titles that they make anyway, like the Pentiments and the Grounded and things like that. They're such a fantastic team. Um, and then what you got Horizon, Fable. I think is the start of a new franchise. Hopefully, it's an existing long loved franchise. I think it's
It's
going to be
not
a great
long
addition.
until it launches, right? Oh, I don't know. How long is it now until it launches?
It's
So
been
six,
pushed back to
9 months?
February. So I think to avoid the
GTA
GTA
stuff. Yeah.
black hole. But that's an existing standard franchise, and also Playground's in a unique position whereby Horizon is so profitable that
Yeah.
it gives them the
100%.
room, right? It gives them the
100%.
room. But then you look at the Minecrafts and the King acquisitions, and tellingly King and Minecraft have now reported directly into Microsoft, whereas before they were a lighter integration studios. They were one step behind, but now they're actually straight into Microsoft. And that's for Microsoft, that's great because Microsoft are a software company and they know how to handle software. And if it's a
Mhm.
franchise that has a recurring revenue and it's about maintaining the franchise and maintaining the user base and making sure it's more and more profitable, they know how to do that. In all their other divisions outside of games, they know how to do that. And they've done it brilliantly with Minecraft. They've been great custodians of Minecraft. They've
Yeah.
really been wonderful. So I think that's what we'll see them doing. I think them and the other large studios that we would traditionally see as the AAA producers will step back from making any new IP whatsoever and become guardians of franchises. And that's it. And then we'll have AAA. And AAA won't be their purview anymore. AAA, the games that advance the games industry, will be found much more in the independent sector than it would be in first party.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I think you're probably right. Feels that way right
It does,
now.
doesn't it?
I think as well that there's some people in external development that have been affected with the layoffs as well at Xbox, from what I'm
Oh,
hearing.
absolutely. Yeah, they have. I've lost some really great friends and colleagues from Xbox over the last couple of days. It's been this year, just like last year, it's been absolutely heartbreaking scrolling down your LinkedIn feed and seeing green banners pop up when you're looking. And the first thought is always no, 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 not them. They're too good. Like you're looking and go,
Yeah.
I work with these people. They're too good. They add too much to the game. They're too important. Um, why? And they could be such a big part of the future and the reshaping. And it has been this, it's not like they've gone, oh, we're stripping it all down and now we're going for a lot of external development and that's how it's going to be because clearly this is now our strategy, which is kind of what you think, right?
Mhm.
Because they've hit the external dev teams just as hard.
Yeah,
They've hit them just as hard. So who's going to be managing this? Are we going to take massive steps back in our
that's the
expertise in
worry,
external
isn't
dev?
it? That's the worry. Yeah, who's
It's
it
going to
gonna
be
go to? Is it gonna be more on the subject matter experts for specific disciplines within the studios? Is it gonna be more on, like, the, executive producers or the studio leadership to plan strategy and execute on bringing on partners and making sure that they're executing and doing a good job and making sure those relationships are strong? Like, who is that going to be on if those
yeah,
external development experts are not there
not on the
anymore?
level.
Especially because, like, at companies like Xbox, the amount of external development they do is huge, and the processes that they've put in place are quite complex and they
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
They've been tried and tested, they've been built over many years, which I suppose is a good thing if they have to be handed off to someone else, if they have to just work. But there's a hell of a lot of knowledge that will be
yeah.
lost, will that could really affect the efficiency of some of the work that's happening right now, which is kind of sad, really.
Absolutely. And you know what the games industry is like. You just hand it off to somebody who you think they could do it, even if they haven't done it before. Yeah, whatever job you get in the games industry, you end up doing something a bit different. You always go, oh, you did that, so can you do this? And the suppliers get that as well. Oh, you did great work on these props. Can you do these VFX? They don't necessarily know whether or not you can do them, but they like the work that you did on something else. And the same thing happens inside here. So it'll be passed on to people who not might not necessarily know what it is, or it takes up a larger chunk of their work. And because a lot of these external dev managers, people who've been lost, are enthusiastic about the job they do and the environment they're in. This isn't something that's been handed over to them. It's like, oh, all right, this is something they're excited about, working with talent around the world and managing that and seeing that come in and seeing those relationships grow. These are all really important things for them and things that give them satisfaction at work. And so to see that go at a time when we almost when we need it the most is it's so worrying. And it's
Yeah.
again it's a view of management, I think, as well. I think the most disappointing statement I heard from Asher about this was she said there was 14 layers, there's up to 14 layers of management. So that's the hey, I look at what I'm actually doing is bringing efficiency without damaging anything because there's up to 14 layers of management in the decision making process. And aiming your gun at management always seems like a victimless crime. It's like, oh, they're just middle managers, they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And one up to 14 levels. So okay, where is that 14 levels? What department has 14 levels? Is it marketing? Is it business? Is it something in biz dev? I doubt very much whether it's an artist making a crate for a game gets 14 levels of approval before they can actually drop it into the engine.
Yeah.
So where is it actually happening? It feels like a number where you can just say, oh, this is a victimless crime. This is middle
Mm.
management. Like they don't do anything, like they don't contribute enough to it, and we're just being efficient. And I find that dismissive and highly counterproductive. And I think over time, they're going to find out that they did do something. It's going to
Mm.
affect the quality
Mhm.
of their product. It's going to affect how they get it out there. It's going to affect how the people work together. Um, so yeah, that was a disappointing one. It's an excuse I see a lot without any real evidence to back it up. To be perfectly honest.
But as well, it's going to affect attraction of talent going forwards as well. Like, you're going to have, I mean, they're not the only company that are doing this. Like, there's going to
No,
be a lot of amazing talent out there that might turn their nose up at these big companies now because it doesn't feel stable,
no,
and they might choose to go for more um, independent companies or maybe even service providers as well, which
yeah,
is kind of exciting and fun over on the service provider side right now. So
absolutely.
like, but it's not going to be great for attracting some of the talent that they could really benefit from, I think.
So, yeah, absolutely. And to the point that these are the people that would move it forward, that would move that needle forward in
Mm,
terms of quality.
mm,
And they don't need to be focused on quality. And I get the argument for it as well because the customers aren't so bothered about the graphics and everything else as they used to be. These are not needle pushers anymore. These are these are not key parts of selling your system or the experience, because people are kind of like, it looks good, like things look good, and so they're quite happy with it. But they have in the layoffs made some fairly key statements about how little they regard that. We have seen, I think, the ATG, which is the Advanced Tech Group at Xbox, has been hard hit, and they're the glue, they're the muscle, they're the interconnecting tissue between all the tech inside of Xbox. So they're the parts that keep people talking to each other and documented and run the experiments and can be brought in when you're in trouble. They're that glue in the middle. The id tech team, id engine tech team, has been more than halved apparently. Like, this is an incredible engine
Mhm.
that they're now just thinking, we don't really need to maintain that so much anymore, because it's not that's going to do it for us. It's managing the content of the franchises, making sure we have a steady cadence of things that are coming out. We saw the same thing at Ubisoft. They closed down the Winnipeg studio that was mainly looking after their internal engines. It's Snowdrop, I think, is it?
Mm,
Snowdrop, their engine.
I like that.
They mainly looked after that, so maybe they're looking the same way. It's kind of like, this isn't so important anymore. So long as we keep the content coming and the franchise
Mm.
alive, then we
Mm,
don't need to evolve. We don't need to push boundaries. So that's going to fall on other parts of the industry.
it is. Well, for anyone who's listening to this that has been affected, I'm so sorry. It's awful. And if you need anyone to talk to, we're right here. But yeah, we wish you all the luck in finding something new and exciting
We do.
in the coming weeks or months.
It does make, I think we are starting to reach the end of of how far we can cut. And I think
Yeah.
we are at the beginning of being able to create something that's much more sustainable for the industry. And I'm hoping this is the last round of pain. But yeah, absolutely. If there's anybody out there that wants to talk or just have someone to vent to, because God knows all I've done that right now is vent to Carla for the last 20 minutes. I'm sorry about that, Carla. Um,
Right.
then yeah, the least we can do is reciprocate and allow you to vent to us.
Of course, we're here.
Yeah.
We should go over to our wonderful interview of the week.
Yes.
It's the awesome Nicole West.
Yeah. She's fantastic. And she's incredibly, highly competent people really fascinate me, because I'm not highly competent. And so when I meet highly
Stop
competent
it.
people, I get one, slightly intimidated. And two, I just want to listen. But also, she has she reaches out in so many different ways beyond what she does for a living, in terms of education and supporting the industry as it grows, that I was really not that aware of until the interview. So it was fantastic to hear her talk in depth about that.
Oh God, yeah, she's touched on TV and games. She's so creatively orientated. She's a big advocate for women in the industry as well. And she likes K-pop Demon Hunters, so
Oh,
that's awesome too.
who doesn't? It's a sign of character.
She deeply cares about people as well,
Yeah,
and
and
she's a real special person. So we were so happy to have her on the show, and
absolutely.
we should go to it. Let's
Let's flick
go
over
to
to
it.
Nicole.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Our industry spends a lot of time talking about technology, pipelines, and production, but at the center of all of that, of course, are its people. And today's guest has spent her career helping creative people do their very best work across some of the world's most competitive creative industries. And we have Nicole West. She is the co-founder and head of operations at West Studio, a company that has helped bring countless games and visual experiences to life. But her perspective extends far beyond games. She's worked in television and feature animation with DreamWorks, and today serves as chair and professor of animation and digital arts at the University of Southern California. And she helps to shape the next generation of artists and creative leaders entering the industry. And that combination gives her a unique view of the challenges facing the creative talent today, from education and hiring, leadership, collaboration, and the evolving relationship between art and technology. So Today, we are talking about creativity, careers, mentorship, and what it really takes to build environments where artists can thrive and be their best selves. So, thank you so much, Nicole West, for joining us. It's
Yay,
so good to
Nicole.
have you.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be here with both of you.
Thank you very much. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's beautiful here in California right now. It's the beginning of the summer and it just feels great outside. But maybe too warm for Sam because it's about it's over 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So
yeah, it's a different kind of heat out here. You don't understand. You've got to, you're too acclimatized out in LA.
I think we've got three. Go ahead.
I was just thinking from that intro, Nicole, I've got to apologize, I think, because we've met each other goodness knows how many times over the years, right? Mainly conferences and the rest. And I never realized how much you've done. And I've just kind of like I've shot the shit with you without ever actually touching on all this great stuff. It's like, hi, Nicole, great to see you. And it was only really through looking in for the podcast and with the help of Carla, seeing just how many areas you've touched upon. And I've just missed out on having more interesting conversations with you rather than me talking some crap in a Marriott hotel lobby in San Francisco. My apologies.
Oh, no, I don't think so at all. Yeah. So my career, I've been lucky and maybe also at times it was required when we were building the business. I often had an outside job outside of West Studio for the bulk of my career. But in these sort of situations where we're meeting each other, that wasn't really the point of our conversations anyways. So, but I've been really lucky. I think about it a lot. Like I got to learn how to run a business and fail as an employee of someone else a lot of the time. So, or succeed. So
I remember when it was, how long ago was it that you did a talk at XDS? Was it 2 XDSs ago? You were on the main stage?
Yeah.
And it was about people and creativity. And I remember like looking through your profile and looking through your experience and going, oh my God, yeah, Nicole does have like such an amazing background and is so talented and skillful. I was like, we've got to have Nicole on the stage. And you're just so engaging when you're on the stage as well. Like you can't help but like pay attention. It's great.
Thank you. Yeah, it was such an honor to be able to do that talk and speak about something that I feel super passionately about, which is, creating an environment for people to do their best creative work. So it was, and building amazing teams. So
I'm pretty sure that's on the XDS YouTube channel, actually. So if anyone wants to watch it, go there and watch it now. But yeah, you've worked in games and television, feature animation, and also in education as well. Like, I'd like to delve into that a little bit. Like, what's something that each of those worlds does really well that the other two could learn from?
That's such a good question. I think the one that's obvious in education is that curiosity is just everywhere. It's contagious and inspiration. And I think that's a reason why a lot of people who have achieved some amount of success or have built a career for themselves, why they like to teach. And so I think there's something about educational based curiosity where people just don't have the same sort of fear because their ego isn't built up in a way, they're not necessarily known for something, and being around that energy is just the best. And it's all about discovery and learning. And I think for me, it's really given me the perspective of being really honest and open when I don't know something. So when someone comes to me and asks me a question, I'm like, you know what? I absolutely don't know. Let's go try to find the answer. And so I think that's something that I love about the education space. And that's something I learn from my students every time I interact with them, is just learning without fear is a way we should all live the rest of our lives, in my opinion. With technology, I think sometimes the motivator isn't necessarily something that is based in humanity and craft and love and stories. And I think sometimes that can be the downfall of technology. And so that's something that I wish we ask ourselves why. And if the sole motivation is financial gain, I wonder still why. So I'd say that's kind of the technology. I wish technology kind of thought about things a little bit different. And I think that is the best part of kind of the artistic spaces. The thing that I've had the opportunity to learn from other creatives is that humans love human stories. Like we really love human stories. And I've realized over time that's actually been a motivator in my life. I learned that later, but that's the reality of the bulk of my career, is that we love each other's stories, and recognizing that even if we're not natural storytellers, we're all storytellers, and we're all building stories together all the time. And so I think just that appreciation of the story of it all, however you tell it, whether it's artistic or verbal or dance or music, that's how we all connect. And it's just something that's really profoundly fascinating and engaging. And it's what really inspires me to work, like in general. So, yeah.
I think like there's a lot of people, especially in some of the leadership roles that we've been talking to, like on this podcast, who kind of feel the same way about like how games can be made better than they currently are by like focusing on that curiosity and like exploring where it can take you and how it can make games even better than they currently are. And I think like you're absolutely right. It's almost as if like people are very focused on, need to get this job done, this is the brief, let's do it. And there's less room for that creativity and that exploration and moving forward with creative rather than like leading with creative rather than production or product, for example. Like it's less driven by that, and it's more driven by well, especially AAA and stuff like that, very driven by product and production rather than the creative side for many cases, not every case obviously, but yeah, I can see that myself as well.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think education has done really well that I've seen happen in game studios too, is just getting a line on the intention of something when you're creating it. It doesn't really matter what it is. And I feel like that alignment allows people to more quickly disseminate what fits in a product or a project or not, if you're all in alignment on the intention and the why of something. So and it's so much easier working with a student to figure that out, because we're like, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? That's an individual, perspective. And once you get you scale up to AAA, there's a lot of different motivations that might be at conflict at times. So, but I think the times you see like true passion and alignment and intention, you see incredible products. This semester, I taught a case study on K-pop Demon Hunters.
My daughter loves that.
Yes, we should. It's amazing.
It's amazing. And the thing that I got to learn from, I went through the whole pipeline and talked to all the creative heads. I was so lucky to teach this class. And then also like the executives from all the studios and music, all of it. But they all had a very specific intention, and they went back to that intention over and over again. And the decisions that were made, even at the executive level, were always going back to the intention. And the creators spoke about how they fought for that intention. In particular, if you've seen it, when Rumi goes to see Celine, and she basically is saying, like, if the world has to be this way, then I don't want to live in it. They had to fight really hard to keep that in. And I think that's a pivotal part of that storytelling. And I think that might be something that really makes that particular story go through the different, different generations, different it's a 4-quadrant film, which is really rare, especially in the animation space. So that was an example that I learned where I was just like, okay, intention is, they were stuck on intention. So sorry, Sam.
No, just to follow up, how do you successfully communicate that? Because we see it with certainly in games, is that alignment you talk about is very easily diluted or misunderstood, or everybody has their own version of what the game is being made in their head. and they don't necessarily align with whatever the senior leadership team might be, or what the different departments might be. So how can you keep that alignment going as the product gets bigger and more complex and more divided just by division of the type of work that they have to do, just by division of sheer scale?
Yeah, that's a great question. That was a question I also had too. So this film was made at Sony Pictures Animation here in LA, and then at Spy up in Vancouver and Montreal. And at times it ballooned to about 500 people. And I think from doing a case study, and obviously it's their right to say how they did that, but from doing a case study and meeting all the department heads, is there's kind of two different parts. One is that the creator, so Maggie King, was also the writer along with Chris Applehans. And so they actually controlled a portion of the script, a large portion of the script. And so I think, obviously linear creation is very different than nonlinear creation. So I'll give you that is much more complicated. But they hired incredible department heads that they trusted implicitly. And the department heads knew their vision and fought for their vision at each level. So the alignment occurred at the department head level from my experience. And then the other thing that they did really well is because it was distributed development, because Spot actually hires Spy, is that they had insane documentation. Like, it is this, it's not this. Their Bible, their visual Bible is one of the strongest Bibles I've ever seen. And it's like stupid gorgeous. So
I've actually made it nice to look at. Because
oh my gosh, it's so beautiful.
When I think about how many living documents you get in game development that just kind of get referred to here and there, that get updated and you don't really know about, and you dip in and out rather than it being something that you want to go back to. Like it's the idea of having a document that's actually beautiful is brand new. I've not heard of that before. It's always been very functional.
Yeah, I mean, it was functional. It was the both, but like, this is actually an interesting animated property to compare to games because it had the most models and variations of characters I've ever seen. And it included like alt models for hair. They actually had debates about like if nails have really been never been done in animation. And they would be like, well, would Zoe have matte nails or would they be shiny? And, they're alt nails, which is like something that's unheard of in both spaces, actually. So yeah, I think you're right. They did a good job of kind of making you fall in love and get invested in the characters. I think when you do that, then everyone wants the characters to win across the story. So
this is something that really intrigues me, because something you hear people having a moan about quite a lot, and Sam and I talk about having a moan on this podcast quite often, but like something people tend to have a moan about is like starting external development in games when the documentation just isn't ready, and a lot of the times it just isn't, but it's like we're against the clock, we have to start and we have to do it anyway. And thinking about, okay, well, what do you have to bear in mind with the partners you're selecting if your documentation isn't at that point? How does that affect partner selection? I was talking to Chris Green at Dambusters about this just the other day. But yeah, it's a completely different world to what a lot of people are experiencing, I think, having something so robust and ready to go and gorgeous even before external development starts.
They made it in collaboration too. So like, I think you start it and then you keep building it. And one of the challenges that's different, not that it's not required in game development, but continuity and linear storytelling is something that, will break the story if it's too off. And we all know the famous examples where there's, off continuity. And so it's being developed as they go. So I think it's also about that consistency and commitment to capturing those choices as you go along. It is this, it isn't this, it is this. And it was very interesting. Everyone pulled mood boards together for this project. And I got to see the different mood boards, and they were all like inspired by the same things. And so they kept going back to that inspiration, which was, I think, also had a lot of value because they could go to the inspiration to inform like a lighting decision, for example. And so it's returning to that. And it was interesting. They would talk about the film in this way where they said, there were a couple of things they tried to do, and they were like, the story actually wouldn't allow it. The stories, the film spit it out. It wasn't this. So
that's perfect. That makes a lot of sense, because you do, regardless of where you start, you set yourself in a creative process, just putting up boundaries. It's a process of putting up more and more restrictions about what something could be, because a character ends up having a certain personality, acts in a certain way, so that now means they can't do this, or they wouldn't do that, or they can't operate in a certain way. So I'm guessing as those got tighter and tighter and tighter, it actually made some of the decision making maybe a little bit easier, because you're cutting off avenues. It's like, no, we just can't explore that because we know that wouldn't happen.
It's inauthentic for the story or the character. Yeah. Which I think the authenticity is so important in any human storytelling for it to work for us.
And I like the idea of showing what it isn't. That's like, I don't know if we do that quite enough. The what it isn't. That's really good.
That's what our style guides here at West Studio, that's something we definitely do, because a lot of times what something isn't is more visceral than what it is.
Yeah. Like Ron Ashtiani, who we've had on the podcast previously, he in his book, he talks a lot about that, like how important it is to show what it is and what it isn't. It is like Star Wars, not Star Trek, for example. Like
so visceral. Like you can immediately feel what you're saying. It's so cool.
Exactly.
Human brains are amazing.
We touched a little bit on XDev, so I'm just going to go a little bit deeper into that, because you've seen external development both from like the game side and from the TV movie side of things. Like, what for you do you think makes an external creative partner indispensable, not interchangeable?
I think you kind of hit it right away, which is that it's a partnership. Obviously, there's always the power dynamic between who the client is, you know, and who the vendor is. There's always going to be that power dynamic. But I think that when when the vendor isn't trying to sell, but they're trying to solve a problem or come up with a solution or improve something. I think that's where like all the meat of a relationship is that what are they interested in and why? And so I think like for us at West Studio, what we do is when a project comes in, we think about it as a brand new project without any resources internally. And we think about, okay, if we were going to build the best team in the whole world, how would we assemble it from nothing? And why? And why would we do that? And I think that is actually mirrors the way that you know, hopefully most of our clients are building out their teams too, is that we need everyone to serve the project, whatever it is. And so I think that's something that is really special in terms of our studio, but I think other vendors who do the same sort of thing will definitely come to the table with solutions, because they're thinking about, this is what we think you need. This is how we'd solve that. And so I think the biggest thing is that mutual trust is where those partnerships really sing. And we're really lucky here that we've had clients that we've worked with for like upwards of, you know, on a single project, 7-8 years, which we get to see that come to a greater fruition over time and change in dynamic. And, you know, oh, we have this other issue now that we have this trust in this language we built together. How about this? And we're like, cool, yes, we want to try that. We haven't done that. So I think it's, you know, I think this is all business. I'm not trying to say that this is not. This is, all of the products that we're all working on, it's commercial art. So I'm not in denial about that. But I think the love and the passion for creation, without that, if it's just about the money, I feel like why not go work in finance or I don't know, something that, isn't so fun. And, this is so much, we're so lucky to be able to do this and be around people who have these abilities to create in ways that 50 years ago we couldn't dream about.
Yeah, absolutely. When you've been working across like West Studios and DreamWorks and University of Southern California, you've seen like so many different creative people across all those different types of environments. Like what do you think are the common ingredients that commonly that's the word what are the common ingredients that consistently bring out the best in those people? I mean, you've talked about like creating like these partnerships and that's what makes a good external development relationship and having that trust. But like what do you feel like you need to do to bring out the best in people to help those partnerships be as strong as they can possibly be?
Yeah, I've been so lucky to work at different places and different team dynamics. Some of them very healthy, some of them very, in my opinion, unhealthy. And I feel like in those instances where things have been really not great, you kind of learn more about, you get curious about why. Why is it that way? And the thing that I've learned is that working with creatives, the best thing you can do is make them feel safe and comfortable and seen. And I think you always yield the best results. They're always more willing to take risks, which I think we all know in that kind of risk creative space is where new ideas are created, and they come to be born. But when creatives feel scared or judged or threatened, then it's not going to yield. It will yield work for sure, but it might not be the type of work that is impassioned, that's their true authentic self. And I think that's for me, that's the environment that I try to build wherever I am, is that everyone has a voice in the room. Everyone can say something about something in a respectful way, of course, but not to say that there's not hierarchy. There has to be for order, but I think that's the thing. And then I think giving people the tools of language and communication about how to approach something. A lot of times people aren't trained in certain things. For example, when younger employees will come to me to talk about their salary, I'll always say, thank you so much for coming to me to advocate for yourself. Like, we may not be able to accommodate what you're asking for, but like, I want to give you the language around what you're doing right now. And so I think providing people the tools of language, so that we can communicate with each other authentically is like a tool that's often not distributed into the world. And that's like something that has extreme value. So.
Oh, I think so. People don't teach you that at school very often,
No.
like how to, well, I don't know. I haven't been to school for a long time. Maybe they
No,
do
they
these
don't.
days. I don't
Yeah.
know. Oh, they still don't. Like how to advocate for yourself, how to have those difficult conversations or those conversations that could cause friction, and how to take the friction out and make it productive, and how to come out with negotiating outcomes. That kind of thing's so important. Is great for retaining people, I can imagine.
Yeah, and making people feel heard. I do teach negotiation classes at school, by the way. For creatives, I actually taught that at DreamWorks too. Is like, this is what you're doing. Like, let's break it down to the simplistic, like, real thing of what it is, because there's a lot of feelings. Those are all valid, but this is really what you're doing. So sorry, Sam.
No, it's just I was just thinking, because we often think about a single creative vision, like a single creative mastermind behind how a film or even a game looks, like those kind of like those powerhouses, that whereby it's more or less you're trying to just enact their vision, and you've for a moviegoer, I think of that kind of form of making film quite often, but I don't know if it's particularly true. Like, I don't know if it's actually a very rare thing, and it's more something that you yourself think, oh, they must just be a singular vision from some creative genius. But if that is the case, well, I'd be curious to know how often you've seen that happen, and is it difficult? Like, is that the hardest situation to do, or is it actually quite freeing to be very specific about what the vision is?
I think even the best visionaries, because I am really lucky to be teaching at USC, and I get exposed to, really famous directors, and they come and talk, and we're able to host a lot of different events that we're able to ask, these types of questions. And what I always see partnership. Ryan Coogler was there right before the Oscars, and he was talking about all his partnerships. John Chu just came to our commencement. It's all they talk about is their partnerships. So even when you see people that you think have this singular vision, there's actually these other people that are their trusted, either their cinematographer. A lot of times I've been seeing that relationship between a composer. And and I would say that that's a simplified version of what's happening.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of geniuses, but the work is attributed to a person because they were either the creator, or the director, which is great. They should be attributed that, they brought it to fruition. But I think it's actually a team of like-minded people always. So
We're much more ready to attach a singular name to a film or a broadcast production, but a game, not so much. We attach a studio to a game. It's made by such and such a developer rather than it's directed by so and so. You really have
I think there are
to know your stuff to start
some
getting to that.
there's a
Yeah, a few
few rare exceptions, but
many though. Kojima, Druckmann.
Yeah.
If you think of the sheer volume of games, there's not many names that stand out. You go, oh, that's the person who. It's a studio,
No.
not the.
And it's so similar in the sense that, like, films and animation and games, like, except for the indies, normally it's, upwards of 300 to 500 people that worked on it. So
Yeah.
that part confuses me because it's a bunch of really smart, like-minded people who make it together. But to your point, Sam, I think when people do have a strong vision, those are stronger films. When someone has an authentic point of view they want to tell their story from, we're always more attracted to that, I think. Because it's again a human telling a human story. So so I do think you're correct in the fact that those visions drive teams, but it's always a group of collaborators, in my opinion.
Nice.
Oh, that does make sense.
You've worked with lots of creative people, and looking back at like the students and the creatives that you've worked with over the years, like what's a pattern that you see most often in the people who eventually exceed everyone's expectations? Is there something that's always there, or is it different for every person?
I think the obvious one is just work ethic. Like, it's rare for someone to get anywhere without working hard. I think extreme determination. These are not easy industries to work in or to, be the person who's in charge of anything, right? So I think extreme determination, they're all very curious in my experience. They're all curious. They're always looking to learn more. They want to know more. They're watching people. Like, everything they do is sort of informing choices eventually. And so I'd say that those are some of the key components that I've seen in people who've become very successful in a rapid manner or successful over time, both very valid ways to become successful. So, and then the ones that I think are the best leaders and yield the best products are people who invest in each other. So, and they've been doing that their whole career. It's not something that they just suddenly did as a leader. And I think those are kind of the key ingredients of the leaders that I admire, the creative leaders that I've seen develop. And a lot of times they're not all really serious. Some of them are very funny. And I think that's also helpful. Like, there's something about levity that really helps people kind of like, it's almost like having a meal. If you have a good laugh with each other, it's almost like having a great dinner together, So, so I'd say that I think that those things are really lovely to see in leaders, that I've had the good fortune of seeing myself.
That's good. I think that kind of resonates when it comes to networking as well. I think it's great to kind of have that serious side and be able to talk professionally about what you're doing and what you're focused on, and be able to bring the conversation in at the right places, but then also having that side that um, is easy to talk to, that is kind of magnetic, that is interesting and nice to be around. I think that is a big asset as well when it comes to networking and business development, because it's, as Sam says, like, it's a very relationship focused business, external development. And so being able to create those connections that people want to go back to at the next conference and the next conference and the next conference is very, very important when it comes to at least game external development and the business development that goes along with it.
Yeah, I absolutely think that part's important. I mean, everyone's taking time away from their partners and their families to be together. And so there is the business side, of course. That's why we're all meeting up somewhere, mostly in Vancouver for XDS. But at the end of the day, we're all kind of people in our own lives. And I can recall at the XDS, like 2 XDSs ago, your daughter came and your husband, or your partner, sorry. And she suddenly wanted to do Ring Around the Rosie. I don't know if you recall this.
How can I forget?
So we're doing Ring Around the Rosie, a bunch of grown adults in the middle of a conference,
Yes.
and it's like, but that's also like, I got to see a tiny window into your life and, this beautiful, brilliant, strong human you brought into the world. And, yeah, but like, and your partner who's so kind and loving and such a good dad, it's like, you get a little snapshot. And I think those snapshots make, these experiences have depth.
I think so too. That was such a good description of both Ellie and Chris, by the way. Very good.
I think Nicole wants some brownie points with
Yes, you did.
I'm trying to become her favorite, just saying.
Yeah, that's a very good memory for me. Yeah, that was a fun time. Yeah. On that note, maybe we should talk a little bit about AI before we move on to the final questions. Our fun subject of AI. Brief on AI. Everyone wants to hear a little bit about AI. So you've kind of seen it from an education and a studio point of view, I'm guessing. So you've seen it from multiple angles. Like, what's the most important discussion about AI that we are or are not having right now?
Yeah. I have to first give my disclaimer, which is that I've spent my career supporting creatives, and I'm a big reader, and now I'm surrounded by academics who are writers. So I think for anyone who's creating out there, of course, I think that they should have the right to decide how their work is used and reused. But it is here, our dear friend AI. And I think the thing that I keep coming back to and I'm constantly confused by, but I'm also so grateful to be in the academic space, to have like a seat at the table as things are evolving and I'm getting to learn from everything that's happening around me, is I'm still curious about the why and the how. So like, for example, if we're adding AI into our pipeline, why and how are we doing that? Like, what's the intention and the purpose? Because I think a lot of times, again, there's so much thought and effort put into the monetization of something that the practical use cases are being less examined in our space, right? So we work in high-end visual development. But it's not that I don't think it has value. I think there are places to add value. It's just the question of where is that and why would we add it or utilize it, or why would we not? And I do really feel like there's kind of a bubble. I felt that way for a while about AI. And so I think only when that collapses, which it will inevitably do, that's when we'll figure out the how and the why. Because right now it's all about the hype. Everyone wants to be involved. A lot of people are confused about what is AI and what's not. A lot of the things people reference are actually things that are not generative AI. They're just tools we've been using for a long time. And so I think there's one of the things that I think is missing right now is a shared language about how we talk about this. And even in an academic setting, you know, there's 7 divisions and we're all in rooms talking, and I'm like, oh, we're not talking about the same thing at all. Like, we're all talking about something different right now because the language isn't there yet. And so I think the establishment of the language and then understanding, because in my opinion, it will be part of the pipeline. It won't be the pipeline. I don't think humans want to forego their right to tell authentic stories.
Yeah. I love the idea of asking why. But I think at the moment we're very much in this, look what it can do. Look, it can now do this. It can now do that. It couldn't do this very well before, but now it can do this really well. And and now we're seeing all these things it can do, but we're, to your point, I don't know if we're really asking, but why do I want it to do that? And where does it fit into what I actually want to achieve?
Yeah, because there are places where efficiencies can be gained, and then more human brain can be utilized in a different space that could make a product better, right? So I definitely see that. It's just a matter of figuring out how it will fit in. So I think we're a few years out to really fully understanding its efficiency gains within our creative space. And then from a humanity standpoint, you know, I think there's parts of it that are so exciting for me, like, for instance, all the medical applications of AI. It's like, yes, like, this would take people another 1,000 years of crunching numbers. Like, let's use it there. Yes, please. You know? So I definitely, I'm not anti-AI. It's just the more of the why and how. And then I always go back to, you know, are people whose media is being utilized, are they being compensated or not? You know, that's the other. Like, I want artists to be paid for the work that they do.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah.
We can move on from AI now.
No, we will never move. I don't think
But today
Pandora's box has been opened. We can all agree.
Well, for now, we can take a break from it.
Okay.
And we'll do a little bit of a wrap up, and then we'll go to our little quick fire questions. So just a couple of little bits here. So if one of your University of Southern California students sat down with us 10 years from now, like, what skills would you hope that they've developed beyond artistic ability?
Yeah, when I had the opportunity to take this role, the one thing that motivated me the most is knowing that these students will experience incredible change across their careers, change that we can't imagine. One change that I have been hopeful for a long time, that hasn't, I thought it would happen by now, but hasn't, is kind of the integration of, you know, or the commingling of nonlinear and linear storytelling, which I think is something that's so exciting that I think we're making a lot of steps towards that. But the question I ask myself is, can I add value to prepare these students for a future that's unknown? And so that's really what I focused on, my, you know, both in all of my decisions as a chair, but also when I teach, is they need to understand that growth and adaptation and curiosity is the only way forward as a creative. So if they want to continue storytelling for the, you know, the duration of their working life, how do they get to do that? And I think those are the keys based upon my experience in these different industries, is that you have to kind of remain open, or else you will not be able to withstand the change. And so I really hope that those are some of the skills. And then I think the other thing that I really hope is the idea of investing in themselves and advocating for themselves. Those weren't skills that I graduated college from with. And I think understanding that an investment in yourself, whether it be personal or professional, will help all areas of your life. And advocating for yourself is something that, especially in certain demographics like female, non-white, it's something that people have not been taught those skills, and they're just a set of tools. And so a lot of the different presentations I put together, actually turn them into PDFs. And I'm like, okay, download this when you have after you're done with your internship, pull this out when you're negotiating for your first job. When you have an IP that you want to sell, like I even label them for the students so that later on they kind of know, oh, I have that little bit of information. I can go find it and get it, or they can reach out to me. But I think it's all about enabling creatives to have more ownership of their stories as well. Because I think, that's where we see brilliant work in the world that moves us, in my opinion.
That is such a valuable thing for people to have, especially when they're still yet to take that big leap into their career. Right now, they're at that point where they're exploring and trying to find where they want to fit within the industry and where their passion is and where they want to go forwards. But then all of a sudden, when that's gone and it's like, go fly, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll try. But then having that extra little bit of support must just feel like so much better. So that's really great. I love that.
And it's also such an honor. Sorry, Sam. I always cut you off, Sam.
No, that's me. It's the other way around. No, I just say this also when you're most riddled with doubt, right? When you step out for the first time and you're suddenly surrounded by people who've been doing it for a long time, or you've admired or worked on things you've done. You're just like, well, how on earth have I got a right to raise a voice or an opinion or advocate for myself when clearly they're way ahead of where I want to be or where I'd like to be.
Exactly. And that's where I kind of do the breakdown, and I'm like, okay, you have a motivation, but they also have a motivation. So let's explore their motivation for a second before you start thinking about how you want to advocate for yourself. Like, what is their they need help. They need help. So they need you, or else they wouldn't be talking to you. So you have value. So let's talk about what that value looks like. So,
and remembering, convincing your kid that, I was a kid too, this is what you're feeling like. This happened to me. I remember what it was like to feel that way. And he might not believe me, but honestly, I was.
Yeah. I think one of the things I try to do is bring in people who are in early career, which is like, it used to be the first 5 years, but now 5 to 7, because that is the most, like, that transition is most relational for them. And so, because it's so easy to say, oh, I failed here, I failed there, but now, in their eyes, we've all made it, right? So, so it's easier to bring someone more recent that's more relatable for the students, in my experience.
I love it. I think it's a really good message for everyone listening, not just like students or people just starting out their career, like being able to advocate for yourself and believe in yourself and everything you're doing. And I think it's something we should all be doing, that's for sure. And we can forget sometimes. So I appreciate you bringing it back. Right, we'll go into our quick fire questions now.
Okay.
We ask these questions to every single guest and we get different answers every time, which is awesome. Okay, question 1. What do you suck at? What's your kryptonite?
I think I can do it all. And that's not true. So I think the answer is delegation.
Yeah, I get that. I get that myself too. What's a small decision that had a huge impact on your career or on a project?
I think recognizing how badly I was doing at something and getting curious about it.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. If you want to,
hate that
please
answer.
expand if you'd like. I know we're doing quick
It's
fire,
true,
but more
though.
than happy to expand.
It's true. I think it was being really combative to resolve something versus using diplomacy. And that that shift was probably in my late 20s, and it changed everything for me.
Very interesting. What's the fastest you've ever trusted someone and why?
It was really fast. It was Christina Woon. She's a creative director at Riot. She was on a panel at a Brick Summit, and she was talking about her story. And I went up to her afterwards and like asked her on a girl date. And we've been amazing friends ever since.
Oh,
So,
nice. That takes
yeah.
courage.
Yeah, I didn't realize it, but I was just like, she stayed in games when I left, and I moved to animation, and I really admired, like I felt like she stayed and kind of paved paths for women, and I didn't. And so I had great admiration and respect, and I wanted to know more about her.
I love that. That's amazing. What's the one tool, workflow, or habit you swear by?
I think it is whatever it means to do self-care, do some of that every day.
What is
Everyone's
that for
self-care
you?
looks mine is either yoga or riding my daughter on my bike, which
Nice.
she named our bike How I Wonder.
I love
No
that.
way.
Yes.
That's so cute. I love it. Um, what's the best accidental or unexpected connection you've ever made?
It was in the very beginning of my career, and it was at something called Into the Pixel, and I met a group of women working in games really early. This is like 2004. And I'm still friends with them, love them to pieces, and can't imagine my life without them.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing.
Sick.
What's a trend in game dev that you're excited about and one you're tired of?
I am obsessed with a strong female protagonist. And I want more and more of it. It's just awesome. I don't know what I'm sick of, because I kind of feel like there's something for everyone. If it makes someone happy, like who am I to say that it shouldn't be?
Didn't me. Yeah, that's fair.
Have you got a favorite female protagonist?
Yeah, Alan Wake 2. I love that. There's a
Mm.
female protagonist who's black and really smart and like so good. What is her name? Sorry. Saga Anderson. Saga Anderson.
Nice.
She's a badass. So yes, that's who it is.
I
Okay,
love
Saga.
that.
Sorry, we haven't gamed in a little while together, but Tyler and I like to play games together. So he'll
Yeah.
do the first-person shooter part, and then I do the puzzle solving.
So that goes into the next part, actually. We do stream, play, or avoid, which is like tell us a game that you like to watch in a stream, a game that you like to play, and a game or genre that you avoid.
I don't watch games in stream, I'll be honest. Sorry, the second one is
Play.
play. Okay. Yeah, so Alan Wake 2 is one that I've enjoyed playing. And then avoid is any first person shooter because it makes me really sick.
Oh no, does it?
I really wish I could play them, but they make me ill, not because of the shooting or anything. I just that POV of the camera makes me really ill.
Oh man.
And some controllers are worse than others for me. I don't know if it's like that for other people. Yeah.
No way. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Don't use VR then, I guess, very often.
It's funny. I am okay with some VR, especially like the Taskmaster ones. But so some of them I'm okay with. Or like driving works for me, but other ones don't. So yeah.
Okay, last 3 quick fire questions. Tea or coffee?
So much tea.
Tea. Yes, I'm tea. Remote or in person?
Both.
Both. Okay.
The
Early
combo
morning.
platter is the best.
The what is?
The combo platter. Like
the combo platter. You said that and I got hungry. Yeah. Okay. Last one. Early mornings or late nights?
I like both for different reasons.
Blimey.
I'm into both. Yeah.
You don't get
but
much
not
sleep.
The same day. Not the same day, hopefully. I found value in both. I traditionally early morning, but now that I have a 3-year-old, sometimes late nights is where it's at.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we're done with our questions. Thank you so much. Anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to plug?
No, I'm just Women at XDS is gonna be there this year. I'm really excited about it. New venue. We hope to
Yes,
see.
very exciting.
Yeah, we hope to see all the women and women identifying folks out there. So
Oh, hang on. I've got something to show you. If I don't, hang on.
I'm hoping it's her daughter.
She's off. She's camera left.
Oh,
back,
from
camera,
last
come back.
year.
Yeah, look at these. These are the
Yeah.
postcards that were within at XDS last year
Yeah.
that you brought along. Well, two of them anyway. You
Yes.
brought a big selection
Yes.
of them, and these are from
Yes.
some of the artists that work with West.
Yes.
I'm
And this year
absolutely
we're actually we're commissioning one of my favorite Spanish artists to do the artwork for Women at XDS.
Oh, amazing.
And
Oh, that's
she's
great.
she is the
Amazing.
coolest, is all I have to say.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna get some frames. I'm gonna put these on my wall because I love them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay, Nicole, thank you so much.
Thank
It was
you.
great to chat.
Thank you, Nicole.
Lovely as
Thank you so
always.
much. It was really fun.
Okay.
Always a massive treat to see you, Nicole. Thank you
Always.
so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we can wave now.
Oh, okay. Thank you guys. I kind of
Okay.
blew
Thank you.
I blew the stream player void, sorry.
No, that's all good. No.
No.
It's great.
There's not a wrong answer to any of these.
No.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, thank you guys so much. That was actually
Thank you.
really fun.
I'm
Yeah, I
so
enjoyed
glad. It
that.
was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You did a
really,
great
you were
job,
fantastic.
honestly. I think people are going to really value that. Like, it felt like a
Thanks.
really like honest, like genuinely useful conversation. I think it's going to get some great feedback. Really appreciate
Awesome.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's really appreciated.
Yeah.
Nice
Thank
one.
you.
It was so nice to spend some time with you guys. Look forward to seeing you in Vancouver and
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Yes, won't be long
Yay.
now.
Yeah.
All right,
Take
thanks
care.
a lot.
All right, then.
Bye,
You take
guys.
care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So that was Nicole. A huge thank you to Nicole for coming on. Always lovely to see her. She's just the best.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, 100% yes. What have we got coming up? Well, as we said, by the time you're seeing this, we've probably been to Develop and Ignite, and we'll be able to give you all the gossip when we get back.
Yeah, looking forward.
Yeah, me too. I guess your next one's Gamescom, Sam.
Yes, it is. I'm going to try and do a lightning visit to Gamescom. Because
Yeah.
I'm doing my booking too late, so you can't do anything else.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, are you just there
And
for
then
like a couple of days?
couple of days, and I think I might stay at the airport. There's a hint for you. Sometimes if you stay near the airport, you get some of the cheaper rooms and are nice. And you get the train in and out of the airport quite frequently throughout the night, so it's not a terrible place to stop.
That's not a bad tip, actually, is it? For anyone listening.
Yeah.
Good tips.
It's a good last place to call. But yeah, it's Gamescom, and then it's the big one. Then it's XDS.
It is coming up fast. We've got some of our program announced now, some really great speakers. Developer tickets are still available. You can go onto the XDS website and register now. We've only got a few weeks until it's here.
Oh, God. By the time it goes out, hardly any time at all.
I know. If you have any questions on the landscape of external development for us or any of our guests, you can feel free to plop them into the comments of the YouTube video or on our XDS Spark LinkedIn page, and any of the podcast posts, just drop them in and we're happy to answer them on the stream. And then that's it. Thanks for joining us again this week. Lovely to have you all with us. If you ever need to or want to talk about the landscape of external development and what's happening in game dev, our inboxes are open. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn, and we're always happy to chat.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Bye.